Will Kyle Williams lead all rookie receivers and receptions? We're exploring that and more today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more.
Joe, I'm entering into my 2-month window out of the year where I can think about turning on a gaming console. So
yes,
might have to get an Amazon setup going for a couple months.
You
Play a
can
little
play
NCAA. Play
yeah.
NCAA for the first time since it's been brought back.
Wow, you haven't played it yet.
Yeah, like you have.
Well, people would expect me to not, but I thought maybe you would maybe fire it up at some point.
I have not dreamt about touching a console since last July.
No console required with the Amazon Fire TV.
Right,
Stick
that's
4K.
what I mean. I might have to get the setup.
Yeah. Okay. Takes on Takes, a weekly episode where we give our takes on your takes. A lot of takes this week. Got some fun food stuff. You know, the food stuff either comes in waves or we don't get any. So we got a few of that to get to. Let's start with this one from Tell. And there was definitely a theme of the takes that came in this week. A lot of like rookie wide receiver takes. And so I thought the best way to get into this conversation was to use Tell's. And Tell says, Kyle Williams, he was drafted by the Patriots in the 3rd round. Leads all rookie wide receivers in receptions. If Hunter is full-time, he splits targets with Thomas. Egbuka is wide receiver 3, and Golden is on a team that spreads it around. McMillan is the only real threat to this take.
The only real threat to this take?
According to Tell.
What's a realistic ceiling for receptions to be like the highest amongst rookies this year? Like, what's a number? Let's establish a number first.
I mean, Malik Neighbors had a ton last year, right?
Yeah. I don't think we've got that kind of play. We don't have a Puka Nacua either, unless we stumble onto a Puka Nacua. Or Brock Bowers.
Is 80 right? Is 80 a fair number?
I think that's fair.
I have the rookie receiving leaders by receptions from last year.
That'd be great.
If that would help us get into this conversation.
Pass over Malik Neighbors' name, because I don't think we're going to have somebody in that stratosphere.
You think he was just product of those circumstances? Yeah. All right, so 109 for Neighbors, 91 for McConkey, 87 for Thomas, Xavier Worthy 78, Marvin Harrison with 62. I'll go one year back on that. So in 2023, so we also have that information. Hopefully this loads in a very quick time. Yep. Okay. So this was Puka with 114.
Right.
Rashee Rice had 105, Zay Flowers 86, Jordan Addison 7. I'm thinking 80 to 90 is probably the fair leader. You think Kyle Williams does this? Steph Diggs in that offense. They got tight ends. There's other receivers they drafted last year. 3 running backs. Are they going to be a pass heavy team?
Kind of just want to pound the table for Isaac Tisla, just to
just throw a curveball here.
Right.
It should be Tet, right? It should be Tet. And Bryce Young will throw the ball. Like he will funnel the ball to a certain guy.
I would be inclined to think Tet with that draft capital. They apparently were working out already this spring together. Bryce apparently was really convicted that there was a guy that he needed to bring in.
Yeah.
I think that build up, while Kyle Williams is in a unique situation where, although, I mean, besides Brock Bowers, is the Raiders receiving situation any better than the Patriots with Jack Betch there in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, I mean, Jacoby Myers, I think, is a good player, but there was other takes that said that Jack Betch and Trey Harris will outperform the rookie receivers in the first round. So Jack Betch is
I'm all the way out on Trey Harris. Trey Harris to the Chargers.
100% out on that. But Betch is worth talking about. I think Betch might have more catches than Kyle Williams, and I like Kyle Williams, but situation dependent.
Right. So I'll take the field, and names that we're invoking here would include Betch and Ted McMillan.
I agree. Paul says this: the first 2 rounds of the draft should be done on day 1. This can be achieved by reducing the time to make picks to 7 minutes. It would make for more trades and more drama, as teams would less likely clock off for the night after making their initial pick. Do you like the new format where
the way this makes more trades is because there's twice as many picks being made?
Right. I agree with that. I don't think it influences the trades, but I did like what I don't like about this format is that you have such an incomplete picture of the draft and everybody reacts to that first round pick. So it's like such an
18 hours.
Yeah, but those 18 hours can get dicey, Kyle.
I don't know. I feel like there's a certain pageantry that goes with being a first round pick. The economics of it are different, obviously, with 5th-year options. Like, I'm totally cool with there being a divide. And what is better than getting done and restacking your board?
Oh, I like that too. I'm not convinced. What do you like? So you would say change nothing. Start this thing at 7 maybe would be nice.
Right.
On the East
let's
Coast.
start an hour earlier. So I'm not finishing my podcast and post reaction on Thursday night at Friday morning at 2 a.m. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, these guys got media to do.
They're getting on a plane the next morning.
You get picked 32nd overall. You might be taking your FaceTime call and doing your immediate reaction picks after midnight, and then you got to hop on a plane and fly where you got to go.
Yeah, it's a whirlwind.
Let's start 90 minutes earlier.
Yeah, 6:30. Let's start at 5 p.m. All right, so we're good with the format of the draft. Callie says Easter by far has the worst candy of all the holidays. Christmas, Valentine's, Halloween, etc. Spearheading the worst, Peeps by a landslide.
All right, hold on. What counts as Christmas candy?
That was my exact question. Is there another holiday that has like specific candy that's like relative to it?
Because candy canes for Christmas.
Okay, that would be.
But candy canes is more garbage than chocolate eggs or chocolate bunnies or whatever else.
Peeps is like a marshmallow, right? Like
I'd rather have marshmallow than a peppermint stick.
Yeah, I'm not in on the peppermint stick. I think it's a good take. Are we sleeping on Starburst jelly beans? Because those at Easter time that's really good. Now the good thing is you get some iteration of a Reese cup for every holiday, right? We just change the shape on that, so we're good.
They've done a great job creating a monopoly in the market of holiday candies. Just change the shape of
and they taste better when they're shaped like a Christmas tree or a heart or a pumpkin
or a rabbit or an Easter egg.
Yeah, I'll take it in all forms. Do you remember that I think it was the first year we went to the Senior Bowl. They gave us those footballs. Bro, that thing was
your head.
I'm pretty sure you housed that thing.
I did.
Was it in the box? Oh, was it in the box? I knew you housed it.
Yeah. Well, there was an empty seat next to us too, so I took that one.
That was the one you took that one for the ride home. Well done, Kyle Crabbs.
Yep.
Is there such thing as Halloween candy is just all candy? Is there anything that's like specific for Halloween?
Yeah, I don't think there's any.
Valentine's Day, are they championing those little hearts that are disgusting?
That's probably the marquee Valentine's, although Valentine's Day is not a real holiday, but it's a Hallmark holiday.
Okay.
Right? The card people said, let's come up with a holiday in which we could sell more cards.
Well, I would say that for Sweetest Day. Sweetest Day is a made up holiday. That for sure.
That is.
Oh, it's a thing. Valentine's Day is real, Kyle. Come on now.
St. Valentine, you're really buying
it's a celebration of love.
St. Valentine.
I enjoy
celebrate love every day.
We do, but especially on Valentine's Day.
I celebrate my love for my favorite draft picks in this year's class every day. Every day I've woken up and said, hey, let me buy some candy hearts for Kenneth Grant.
You should. All right. Gird your loins. We're going to have a conversation about Giants running backs relative to Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw here on the other side of it. So folks, be sure to stick with us. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Plus, the entertainment options are endless with 4K streaming. You can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services, such as Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. All right, you ready for this? Bull Bittler says the running back combination of Tyrone Tracy and Cam Skattebo, that's the new Giants pair. This year will be a better statistical duo than Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw ever were. Kyle, look at the 2010 New York Giants. And I'll tell you what, Bull, I appreciate you bringing this up because it allowed me to go back and really study this tandem of Bradshaw and Jacobs, and it was good. In 2010, they had 477 combined touches for 2,431 yards. That's over 5 yards per touch and 17 touchdowns. Tracy and Skattebo will not sniff that. This is an aggressive take. I appreciate it. There's good creativity. I think in the spirit of what we want to do on the show, we're looking for this, but boy, I'm not anywhere near agreeing.
I'm not online. The legend of Cam Skattebo has just completely jumped the shark.
You knew this was going to happen too. Whatever team you went to, this was going to happen.
Completely jumped the shark. What would you set the over-under at for Cam Skattebo rushing yards this year?
515.
I'll take the under.
Oh boy, that's
probably
careful
by
on that one. Ball's going to be archiving this. He'll be bookmarking the podcast, ready to dunk on that.
And I hope he spikes the heck out of the ball if he nails it. But I'll take the under on it by.
Kyle says under 515 by 100. So if I said it at 450, you would have taken the under.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you realize how good this tandem was?
Yeah.
It was good for a long time.
Yeah.
I loved researching that this morning. 2010, 2,400 yards and 17 touchdowns. Bull says this year they top that.
If they do, it's because Tyrone Tracy goes for 1,500. How's that?
Kyle, we still need almost another 1,000 yards.
I know.
I'm out. I'm out on this one. It's a fun one though, but I'm out. All right, Devin wants to get into these new Rivals uniforms, says there'll be a big boost to the NFL. The NFL should be more open with types of uniforms and styles teams wear. It's more satisfying to watch teams when the uniforms are cool. I'm a diehard Dolphins fan, and I like our uniforms, but designs and styles in the NFL are too bland. Some teams have nicer uniforms, but most are boring.
Yeah, so what do you think? How crazy do you think this is going to get?
I'm nervous, Kyle, because they're wearing these for 3 years, right? One game a year for 3 years.
Yeah. You get a new helmet with it and everything.
It can be corny, man. Especially if it's going to be local. It's supposed to be local, right? So I'm thinking, how are we going to incorporate Niagara Falls chicken wings?
What's the architecture? What's the identifying architecture up there?
Brother, come on. Not great. It's kind of a rundown in a lot of ways, right?
I'm sitting here thinking about the bright, vibrant street art in South Florida and palm trees. And I'm like, how is that? It can be really good.
It can be really corny.
It can also be really bad.
And I feel like the baseball has done this and basketball has done this, and they're super hit or miss. Some of them I dig it. Some of them
are super cool. You just got to hope you're on the right end of the spectrum on this.
Yeah, and fingers crossed. We will be judging these. This will be a part of this show as these get unveiled.
I would say this will probably be a full episode at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they're slow releasing them, one at a time.
Are they really?
I think so. I'm a little loose on the details, but that was somebody was saying to me yesterday. So we'll see. And I think it starts. We're going to get the announcement of what games they'll be released on, and then they'll start showing us the uniforms. So here's what I'll say. I like there to be identifying characteristics. Like when I'm watching whatever team, right? Whatever team you insert, I want to know that I'm watching that team, right? So I love the branding, and I think that's really cool. So we can get too crazy here. So I think there's like some truth to what Devin's saying, but I still like it to be identifiable. I say this a lot. I am still bothered to this day that Oregon, with Marcus Mariota, played in the national championship with silver and white uniforms. They didn't even have their school colors on.
Yeah, but those are sick. And they had like the
in the national championship.
It's a chance to flex all that you can offer to recruits as a college program with all your uniform combinations.
You wonder why they lost the game.
You know, I kind of have a feeling it wasn't because of the uniforms.
That's what I'm going with. Here's an interesting one from Sloth. Sloth says the Bills' defensive line improved more this offseason by all the additions they made in the draft and free agency than it would have improved if they made an aggressive trade to acquire Myles Garrett.
Oh, this is the spirit.
This is a good one, right?
Spirit of takes on takes. All right. So new additions to the Bills' defensive line this year. Free agencies included Joey Bosa, Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunjobi.
Yep.
Draft selections included TJ Sanders, who they traded up for, Landon Jackson, and Deion Walker. To go with Greg Rousseau, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa, Dwayne Carter, who was a third-round pick last year that you're hoping is an ascending player. Who am I forgetting? Javon Solomon.
Yeah, that's you covered them all. That's all. You said Michael Hoyt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So if you acquire Myles Garrett.
Yes.
Are we assuming it takes the funds that you use to sign all three free agents?
And more. Yeah, I think there's more concessions, right? That's $40 million.
Right. So Bosa gone, Hoyt gone, Ogunjobi gone.
Yeah, and probably like Josh Palmer also gone.
Well, we're just talking D-line.
Right. D-line. Yeah.
Do you have the picks to trade up for TJ? Like you probably get you probably don't get TJ Sanders because you're not moving up and giving up more assets to jump up and get. And some of those assets probably went directly to Cleveland for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I assume you don't have your one and you don't have one of those twos.
So now you have just Landon Jackson and potentially Deion Walker. So it's Myles Garrett, Landon Jackson, and Deion Walker versus Bosa, Hoyt, Ogunjobi, Sanders, Jackson, Walker.
Right. Well, and that was my copium of not getting Myles Garrett was, everybody wants this Eagles D line that was like 7-8 deep of dudes. And the point that I made is they don't have Myles Garrett. So give me the depth, right? Give me the depth. I think.
Yeah. Well, they also have Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Instead, but on a rookie deal. What will that look like? We'll find out. But they gave that fifth-year option to the other Georgia defensive tackle. Yeah. So I think this is probably a fair take because of all the different spots in which now you're going to have all the fresh bodies and the depth of the rotation. I think this is a nice, and you have a player in Bosa who can positively impact. He's not Myles Garrett, but if he's going to play 20, 25 snaps a game, I could see him positively impacting your ability to close games with what he does as a pass rusher. And you get a chance to potentially keep him healthy.
Fun take, Sloth. Casey says, Carson Schlesinger will lead all rookies in tackles in 2025. But the real take is that Schlesinger will lead the entire NFL in tackles before the end of his rookie deal.
Oh, yes.
Plays for the Browns, Kyle.
Yeah. What are you concerned about?
Nothing. I mean, who's even going to get the type of run, right, to contend here? John Campbell, maybe, depending on the injury stuff there.
Are the Browns going to move? Are the Bengals going to move on from Jermaine Pratt and give Demetrius Knight a starting job?
Maybe. Nick Martin might have a pretty clear path to starting in San Fran. But they're not Carson Schlesinger.
Browns leading tacklers last year. Grant Delpit, 111. Martin Emerson, 80.
These are not the names we're looking for here.
And then Jordan Hicks and Devin Bush. Delpitz might be a wrench in this plan for leading the league, but I think he's under contract for this year and one more year.
Yeah. Schlesinger leads the rookies in tackles this year.
I will say yes, absolutely.
Unless there's a safety. I don't think there's a safety that'll do it.
Not that's going to get Carson
good take.
130 tackles.
It's a good take. All right, we're going to talk about tuna pizza. Boy, on the other side of it. So, folks, we do. Be sure to stick with us.
To get this over with so I could say no to whatever this.
All right, the check. Yeah, well, and you're falling right into what the Czech Panther says. Tuna pizza, commonly offered in most/all pizzerias in Europe, is a top 5 pizza Americans are not familiar with, and they wouldn't even want to try it.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't really like tuna fish, so that's step 1 here, and this being a problem for me. But you probably like tuna. I could see you eating tuna.
On pizza, get out of here.
So you like, okay, you're the right person to ask. You like tuna and you like pizza. You don't want them together.
It sounds like a terrible mix.
Would you even try it? Would you give it a shot?
No, I'd probably try it, take a bite, and be like, yeah, no. If I wanted this, I'd get a tuna melt, right? Like red sauce with, no, I'm out.
I have a friend from Wales, and I sent this to him. I was like, this really a thing? And he's like, yeah, it's a thing. He didn't like champion it or anything like that, but it's just confirmed like a delicacy or a common way to have pizza. We just like to put lots of meat on our pizza here in the States.
Right. Yeah, but like preferably red meat, right? Like
chicken
more
on
often than
pizza's
not.
Good. Yeah. But
chicken on pizza is fine, but
that could be the only meat on the pizza though. You're not
Mhm.
going to put like pizza or chicken and sausage. Maybe you would. Maybe that's not bad, right?
Meat lovers.
I think I do it.
But I feel like chicken usually makes the cut on a meat lover's pizza. Usually it's pepperoni and sausage and bacon and
maybe some ham.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas is getting aggressive here. Says the Chargers lead the league in rushing yards and scoring defense. They don't have the quarterback contributions to lead the league in rushing yards, do they? Like over Baltimore or Philly?
Probably not. We thought this was going to be the Colts last year, right? We said the Colts were going to rush for like, I said my bold bet was Colts were going to rush for like 2,600 yards last year. Didn't happen.
How did they do? Let's find out.
The Colts or the Chargers?
Oh, the Colts. 2024 Colts. They were top. They were 8th, 2,300 yards.
The Chargers had 1,882 last year.
Oh,
and obviously there's reinvestments in the running back room, and the big blockade here might just be Najee Harris, right? Run can go for 50, but Najee's going to get 35.
Well, and they have the O-line, and they got running back. They got Hampton is in the mix. They're not going to get the quarterback rushing contributions to do this. They won't beat out Philly. They won't beat out Baltimore. They probably won't beat out Buffalo. I don't see it.
Pass.
So we like the defense part of this. We didn't even get there because part 1 of the take.
Well, I feel like the spirit of the take is they're going to run the ball, so possessions and games are going to be shorter.
Well, of course, yeah.
Their scoring defense is going to be lower, and
I
follow. They were first in scoring defense last year.
You need probably at least 700 yards rushing from your quarterback for this to work out. I think.
Approximately.
I'm looking at last year's number 1 in terms of volume of rushing yards was Baltimore, Philly, Washington.
Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels led the team.
Yeah. The Chargers were 17th. The better question, will the Chargers have 2,000 yards rushing as a team?
I'll say no.
Yeah, they might knock on the door, but maybe I think they could sniff for top 10, but I'm out on this. All right, Ricky knows how to speak our language. I've lived on the East Coast my whole life, but after visiting the West Coast, I'm convinced the Pacific time is superior when it comes to watching sports.
This is a factual statement. For sports consumption, West Coast is where it's at.
You remember, like, we went out West a bunch of times to go do like draft stuff, and that thing starting at like 5, you're like, what is happening? You're done.
Sit down for dinner, and the game's you're 3 minutes into the first quarter, and then it's done.
It's
8:30.
It's insane. You guys don't know how good you have it. We're over here trying to keep our eyes awake at 11:30. finish up
It's
these
halftime,
games.
and you gotta get up and talk to the Lord and walk around your living room to make sure you have enough blood
Business
flow
decision.
going so you don't pass out.
Yeah, if you don't handle halftime appropriately at a primetime game that's not your favorite team, you might not be seeing that third and fourth quarter.
Yep. You better figure it out.
Michael says this: any team trading a future first-round pick for a non-quarterback like the Falcons did should immediately fire their coach and GM on the spot. Team should only trade a first-round pick for a quarterback unless a young Hall of Fame caliber pass rusher like Micah Parsons is on the trade block. There's good trades for players that aren't quarterbacks for first-round picks.
Yeah.
But for a draft prospect, I kind of agree. I wouldn't trade a future one in the draft for anything but a quarterback.
Yeah, the longer I've gone with this, the more I generally buy the idea. I forget who it was. I think it was Eric DaCosta. Wouldn't surprise me because everything I seem to believe just comes from Eric. Your draft capital is gold, right? Like that's the cost control for the player, the flexibility that it affords you, how easily you could turn a marquee draft pick into more draft capital, right? And how that's really the lifeblood of your roster. So I lived this twice in 8 months with Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. And neither one of those 3 years later looks like they're going to be a long-term piece of the puzzle where, if you get first-round picks and you hit on them successfully, you've got 5 years plus a second contract, and you're looking at potentially twice the contributions to the team.
Conversely, though, like the Eagles trading a 1 for A.J. Brown, great trade.
Yeah.
The Ramsey trade to the Rams, great trade.
There's teams that it makes sense for at certain points as a football team.
I'd even Diggs to the Bills. First round pick, 4-year stretch of receiving production. And what it meant for that team, like I think there's plenty of good, like those are good trades, but in the draft, not a fan. All right, we'll close out with this one. Only here for sports. That's the handle. I've always been so out on Anthony Richardson since his time at Florida. However, the pendulum of public opinion has swung so far. If there ever was a time for him to become relevant as a fantasy football player, the time to buy is now, purely a fantasy football perspective. Buy low on Anthony Richardson?
But he got to win this job.
He does.
Right? Like that. And so if you're going to buy low, depends on how low you can buy.
All the tools, the rushing part's important, right? Like I've been riding Justin Fields for a number of years because the rushing numbers they give you points, man.
Right.
And that offense has what he needs, right? What quarterback wouldn't love to step into this Indy offense with that O-line and the skill players? They got all the stuff, man. Separators, multiple like different types of skill sets, a running back. They got an exciting young tight end now, man. Good O-line talent. Even though they replenished some of that, like people forget a lot of those players that are stepping in, like they got run last year. They're ready to go, man. So I love that for Anthony Richardson that it's like I think the Colts have isolated the variable. Sink or swim, baby. Time to find out.
Well, I'm pulling something up real quick. Let me make sure I get this right. Anthony Richardson came to the University of Florida in 2020. Right. The year's now 2025. So he's played 5 football seasons. Do you know how many total snaps Anthony Richardson's played since arriving at the University of Florida?
It's not going to be as many as I want to hear.
2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. How many snaps has Anthony Richardson played?
I hope it's 2,000.
It's not. It's less. 1,766.
It's an issue.
For an average draft dudes do math. That's an average of 353 snaps per season for 5 years. Now, last year he played 620. Got benched. Durability's, I don't know, man. Like, You can buy him on the cheap for a cheap roll of the dice, sure. I just don't know it's going to happen. Odds probably say it's not.
3rd round dynasty draft pick for Anthony Richardson. You do that, right? What about a 2? Would you set 2nd round? A mid-2nd round dynasty?
How many teams are in
12.
the league?
12.
So you're talking about like the 36th rookie from a fantasy dynasty?
That'd be about 20th, right? So 12 in the middle of the 2nd round would be around 20th.
All right. So
it's probably like Jalen Milroe. Like you would be saying, I would rather go with Anthony Richardson than Jalen Milroe. That would be what you're saying if it's a mid 2.
Man, that is the ultimate Family Guy. We've always wanted a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. That is the quintessential example of that. I think there's probably something to be said about Richardson. If it doesn't work this year, the team may move on, and then maybe he goes somewhere else, and maybe that can spur some success.
You know how this goes. He's going to get another chance.
Right.
Just like, just what happens.
Versus Milroe they just gave Darnold a contract. Milroe's pathway to playing, barring injury, is probably much further. Yeah, I'd rather have Richardson than Milroe, but there's probably wide receivers and backs and tight ends that I would take in that range of fantasy over Anthony Richardson.
Richardson or Tyler Shuck?
Stop giving me quarterbacks.
Well, that's the one makes it fun. Yeah, I mean, Richardson or Kyle Williams?
Kyle Williams.
Richardson or Skattebo?
Richardson.
Are you sure? Sounds like Skattebo's about to have 15 touchdowns, it feels like.
No. And he might get a bunch of short yardage studies, but
Richardson or Elijah Arroyo?
Arroyo. I hope everybody who's listening or watching comments and leaves their opinions on these hypotheticals that you just left as well. That'd be a fun way to spend the weekend reading the comments. So comment, let us know out of the names that Joe mentioned, how you would stack Richardson amongst them for an investment of a dynasty 2nd round pick. But that's going to do it for us here. Locked On NFL Scouting, Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. Make it a great weekend. And we'll be back to talk to you all again on Monday.